I'm happy to introduce Bob Bentz right here. Bob Bentz is an instructor of mobile marketing at the University of Denver. He's an author, Purplegator mobile marketing founder, and a proud Mountaineer fan. So everyone, please give Mr. Bentz a warm welcome.
Can I walk with this? Or? Hey. So we're running a little late here today because we have a technical snafu, and none of my videos are going to be able to play for you. So sorry about that, but I think they're going to work on it and get it ready for the afternoon. So because they're running late, they canceled lunch today. Okay. So I'll try and ad-lib some of the videos and just go through the content. And normally I would take the full hour, but it's probably not going to take all that now since about a third of it was the videos. So anyway, a little bit about the presentation today. We have a Snapchat filter. So those of you who are snappers, please snap and promote my book there on the right with the snap. You can also follow me by scanning my QR code there on Snapchat. If you have any questions, I got some of my staff waiting back in the office. Just use Twitter and use the DM at Purplegator and ask any questions, and they'll get back to you, and they're a lot smarter than me. So a little bit about my company. In 1989, after 6 years in the television advertising business, I decided I wanted to start my own thing. So still in my 20s and with a pregnant wife, I told my wife I was quitting my job. And I was going to start Advanced Telecom Services. And to add to the dilemma, I was living in Connecticut, and I decided we were going to put the company in Philadelphia. So for the first 2.5 years, I commuted, went on the train every Monday morning from New Haven to Philadelphia, had a $300 car that I kept in the city, drove that out to the suburbs where we started the company. I didn't have a place to live. I slept on the floor of the office for 2 years and 9 months until I eventually moved, and I took showers at the Y. So, you know, that's what I put into this company. I'm not sure everyone would be willing to make that sacrifice, but it worked for me. And the company grew to $62.2 million in annual sales with offices in the United States, Canada, UK, Ireland, Czech Republic, Slovakia, and Taiwan. So a little bit about the brand. There's a lot of brands that come under Advanced Telecom Services. Most recent acquisition was Rocky Point Media, which is a web development company in Hawaii. So I now have a tax write-off whenever I need to go visit the web development company. We're one of the first companies that did do-it-yourself text message marketing. So 3 different online sites where small businesses can go on and set up text message marketing. In 2010, started a company called Advanced Mobile, which was specifically designed to offer everything mobile marketing to auto dealers. Everything from text message marketing to custom QR codes to interactive advertising. And that company was sold in 2013 to the publicly traded Auto by Tel, which still occupies some of my office space in suburban Philadelphia. Also have a background in the dating business, going back to the late 80s and early 90s. Pre-Match.com, if you can imagine that, pre-Tinder, when you used to partner with newspapers, and in the classified section you would look at ads and you would read it and say, oh, you know, she sounds kind of cute, I think I'll call and leave a message for her. And there were a couple of messages that went back and forth until a public meeting was met. So that's really where I got involved in combining the telecom business with media, which was my background. And then more recently, in January of 2017, Purplegator, which is a mobile-first digital agency, was spun off as its own tax-paying entity from Advanced Telecom Services. So what do we do in the swamp? That's what we call where all the gators work, the swamp. Well, we do everything mobile and digital marketing, from its simplest to SMS text message marketing to its most complex, which is apps development. And here's some of the customers that we work with. We have a couple of particular niches, and those niches that we work with primarily are in recruiting, because when it comes to recruiting for hard-to-fill jobs, and we all know that nursing, for instance, has been something we've had a shortage of for a long time in the country, and that problem's only going to get worse with our aging population. So we tend to recruit a lot in the nurse category, and the other one that you might not think about is truck drivers. There's a real shortage for truck drivers right now. A lot of truck drivers are older, they're starting to retire, and millennials with more concern about work-life balance, truck driving's a hard job. They don't want to do that job. So we have a real shortage with truck driving, and that's not a job that can be outsourced overseas. So these are jobs that we recruit for, and when you think of recruiting for those jobs, you could be the worst truck driver and the worst nurse in the country, and you probably still have a good job because there is such demand. So when it comes to recruiting for these positions, we need to reach passive candidates, and we're able to do that on mobile better than any place else because they're not looking for jobs, and we need to convince that truck driver to move from company A to company B. So a little bit about me. I'm passionate about my family. I'm passionate about hiking and mountain climbing. I'm passionate about animal rescue, dog rescue. Every other week I drive dogs from Newark, Delaware to Scranton. We call it the Dogger Ground Railroad. They come from South Carolina and go all the way to Boston where they find their forever homes. I'm also a baseball coach. Very proud of the fact that I've coached 6 guys who've gone on to play professionally, including one who's currently with the Tampa Bay Rays. And finally, I am an instructor. I teach the online course in the communication department, the graduate level course in mobile marketing at the University of Denver. So this is my second book that I've written that you all have. Did you all read it, by the way, by now? Everyone finish it? Anyway, yeah, I wrote a book in 1993, and then I wrote my book there in 2016, and I'm curious whether I sold more than Damon John did. So I write a book every 23 years, so my next one will be coming out in 2039, so please look for it. For more content, I try to update the book because mobile is such an ever-changing medium. The reason I wrote the book in the first place was because when I started teaching at the University of Denver in 2014, they gave me a book that was from 2010. Well, that could have been the Dead Sea Scrolls. It was so ancient. It was actually some things in it that were actually illegal in that 4-year period. So I started to write 10 to 15 pages every week for the 10-week class, and I realized at the end, I got 150 pages here. I'm halfway to a book. Let's finish it. So I did that. So I'm trying to update the book here on RELEVANCERAISESRESPONSE.com and on my own personal website at bobbentz.com. The mobile phone is our lifelines. Our gateway to the world is our digital DNA. And here's the video. Okay. This is what the phones used to look like. Okay. That phone there was 3.5 pounds. Anyone have those? And they actually brag in this video about how great the Motorola phones are because they're only 3.5 pounds. Yeah, when I started the business in 1989, there were 3 million cell phones in the United States and Canada, and I had one of those. Okay, so your mobile phone is your digital DNA. I want you to think about that and think the phone number that you have now, morbid thought, is the one you're going to die with, okay? As long as you keep paying your bill, I guess. So the phone number you have, so imagine for a brand or a business how awesome that is to acquire your phone number and market to you, because you're going to have it the rest of your life. Okay? Your area code has become irrelevant. I used to be able to look at people's phone number and knew who was calling me. Today it doesn't matter. You know, I could have a 512 area code and have moved to Pittsburgh. I could have a 412 and have moved to Texas. Doesn't matter anymore. So you can't really tell. So that phone number you have today, you're going to have for the rest of your life. And what has changed in the world over the last 3 decades here has really been the demise of the landline phone. So it was 2015, which was the first year that more households were cell phone only than even had a landline anymore. Okay? Now, overwhelmingly, if you live in the Northeast, because Comcast gives you the landline for free on the triple play, we are 20% more likely in the Northeast to have a landline phone than anywhere else in the country. So the stats are really low when you start to get to the West Coast. But you can see here that more households today are cell phone only versus have landlines. And companies like ours, like Purplegator, which are mobile-first digital agencies, have really, the reason we exist is because of smartphone penetration. Today, 87% of all Americans have a smartphone. And the younger you are and the wealthier you are, the more likely that you are to have a smartphone. This is a really cool picture. This is the coronation of the Pope in 2005 and then again in 2013. So look at that top picture and you can see one little flip phone there in the bottom right. Then look at the bottom. Everyone's missing the entire event because they're so busy taking pictures. All these items are things that you used to have to own that are now on your cell phone. When I started Advanced Telecom Services in 1989, we invested in a lot of telecom equipment, over $1.3 million over the next 7 or 8 years that we had to invest in telecom equipment. I sold that equipment in 2012. You want to guess how much I got for all that equipment? $165. And I have no idea why the guy paid that much. But that's how much technology has changed. You know, what we used to have whole rooms for in 1989 to answer telecom calls is now in the cloud and can be on something this big, a tablet. Okay, so what has really changed over the past decade really has been the time that we spend with mobile. So 6 years ago in 2012, we were spending less than an hour and a half with our mobile phone. In 2018, we're going to spend 3.5 hours with our mobile phones. Now keep in mind, that's only the stuff that you do on your phone other than talk on the phone, which was the reason it was invented in the first place. That's all the Facebook you're accessing, that's taking pictures, watching YouTube videos of cute cats, you know, whatever it is, that's what you're doing on your mobile phone. Now look down towards the bottom and you'll see the corresponding decline in the amount of time that we're spending with broadcast and overwhelmingly the decline we're spending with print. And you got to ask yourself, too, here, is we're spending more and more time with media all the time. Every year, we're spending more and more time with media. So why is that? Are we sleeping less? I mean, they're not adding any time to the days. Could be we're sleeping less. I think it's because we've all become so good at multitasking. So you're watching TV and you're tweeting at the same time, all, you know, cumulative in these statistics. So when was the year of mobile? You know, that's something that comes out every year. Oh, this is going to be the year of mobile. Maybe you think it was a particular year. Maybe you think it hasn't happened yet. Okay? In my book, my premise is that the year of mobile was 2010. And the reason why is because that's when Eric Schmidt of Google first came up with the term mobile first. And what I want to emphasize with you today is everything that you do for your brand or your business, you should think mobile first. You should think tap first and click second. Okay? No one clicks on a mobile phone. Okay? Get that out of your vocabulary. You tap on a mobile phone. So everything you do, you should be thinking mobile first for your brand. So advantages of mobile. Okay? Here's that voice. Mobile's the closest a brand can ever get to its customers. Okay? There hasn't ever been a medium that allows you to have a one-on-one relationship with your customer quite like mobile. Okay, and you know, the good thing is we'll post all this afterwards and you can watch the videos. And this is how Adidas is dealing with their mobile technology. So one of the things that I like to always say is with mobile, there's no prime time. Okay, you know, I spent 6 years in the television advertising business after graduating from college. And when I went to local advertisers, and I sold right here in Morgantown, my first job was with WDTV in Clarksburg. And when I would go knock on doors of businesses on High Street to get them to buy advertising from us, the one thing they couldn't afford was prime time. They could advertise in the morning, they could advertise in the afternoon on the weekends, okay? But they weren't going to be able to afford 60 minutes. The audience size that we have today at 5 a.m. in the morning is bigger than the television primetime audience ever was. Okay, so that's a pretty startling statistic. So the people that we have early in the morning that are available on mobile is where you can reach. So that's the mass reach. The geo-targeting is something that I think is really awesome when it comes to mobile. And when it comes to geo-targeting, you might be a business in a restaurant, say in the western suburbs of Philadelphia. You only pull from a 3 to 5 mile radius. Well, why would you want to advertise on traditional media and reach South Jersey, Delaware, Scranton, Harrisburg? Those people are never going to come to your restaurant. So we start with geo-targeting when we do all of our mobile advertising. We can do geo-conquesting, which is pretty cool right now. And more third-party data providers are giving us device detection. So we're able to detect where devices have been and utilize some of that technology and some of that insight. I happen to represent 1,200 independent lumber yards in the country. Those lumber yards compete with some pretty tough competition, Lowe's and Home Depot. And so one of the things we try and do for them is to use device detection to try and lure those people that have visited these big box stores and get them to come to the local businesses. There's still value when it comes to mobile in terms of advertising, because the time we spend with mobile and the advertising dollars spent is not yet congruent. So there's still a gap there, and if you remember back from Econ 101, if supply exceeds demand, there's value in terms of mobile advertising. And then there's the timeliness of it, and I think this chart really shows timeliness of mobile. Think about a typical day for you. Do you know at 11 a.m. where you're going to have lunch? Well, most people don't. So how valuable would a message be from your restaurant to reach these people that are getting ready to decide where they're going to go for lunch that day? And how can you reach them? Well, you can reach them with a text message. You can reach them with a mobile or desktop ad, or you can reach them with a push notification on your app. The mobile web. So there's a tsunami of traffic moving from desktop to mobile. Marketers must ensure that the user experience of mobile and tablet is as convincing as the desktop experience. So almost everybody today with responsive design has a mobile website that's mobile friendly. I still see some every now and then, and it really represents a business that's a bit out of touch. Here's a fun video you're going to be able to watch with Chiquita and the Minions. Everyone loves the Minions, right? And what Chiquita Banana did in their relationship. You can actually watch this because without the sound, you'll probably get some facts from it. So Chiquita put QR codes on their bananas that you could scan, go to their mobile website, and enter to win a sweepstakes. Okay, including a trip to London. Okay, and that was just an excuse so I could get some water. So let's talk about the day that mobile really took hold. And there's a date that is very important in the mobile ecosystem, December 25th, 2013. Anyone have any idea what happened on that day in terms of mobile? Well, that's the first day that Google reported that more searches on Google came from a mobile device than a desktop computer. Okay, and it makes sense, right? It's Christmas Day, people are getting new phones, they're trying them out, they're doing searches, they're probably, a lot of them away from home, so they're not at their desktop. So that was the first day that Google reported that. And then there was another milestone day about 1.5 years later, on May 25, 2015. And what happened on that day? Well, what happened on that day was that was the first day that for all time since, mobile search was greater than desktop search. So think about emails. 2/3 of your emails now are being read on a mobile device and not a desktop. Okay, and when it comes to mobile, one of the tips that mobile websites, one of the tips that I have is to take the thumb test. Okay, and on the small screen of the mobile, you need to be able to navigate it with your thumb. And so I always think of The Rock. If I could be anyone, I think I'd be The Rock. I think he's got a pretty cool life. So think of The Rock, a really big dude, right? And how hard it is for him to navigate your mobile phone. So I always say, use your biggest thing that's on the end of your hand, which is your thumb, and try and navigate your mobile phone, your mobile website with your thumb. So that's what I call the thumb test. And if you can navigate on your mobile device with your thumb, then you're navigating probably like The Rock does with his pinky. So that would be a good judge of whether you have a good mobile website. So let's talk lesson 4. And by the way, when you read the book, you'll notice that these lessons correlate with the chapters in my book. Messaging, okay? Messaging's the workhorse of mobile marketing. It's the pillar that holds up the mobile marketing building, and if you can only do one thing in mobile marketing, it should be SMS text message marketing. It works better than anything, and the ROI is better than anything I've ever seen if you put the time into it. And you'll see a video here about what Ford is doing in terms of text message marketing. So what are the different types of messaging that are available? Well, it's more than just SMS today. Okay, but SMS is the thing we do the most, called short message service. And then there's premium SMS, which was the ability for brands to charge for someone to access their content. That has worked in every country but the United States. In the United States, I think we protect the consumer sometimes to a fault. And it has been banned in the United States, all except for 2 categories: nonprofits and politicians. So you can still donate to your favorite politician or your favorite nonprofit through premium SMS. And you might remember the most famous of these was when Mrs. Obama went on Monday Night Football, and it was text Haiti to a short code, and $10 was donated to the Red Cross in Haiti. So that's premium SMS. Still exists, but unless you're a nonprofit or a politician, you can't play anymore. Then there's MMS, which is multimedia messaging services. So you can see here that it's very popular in the fashion industry. And with MMS, you're able to send along with the text message a voice file, a video, or an image. So you can see why that would make a lot of sense if you were in the business of fashion. But it doesn't stop there. The newest part of messaging is rich communication services. You're probably not seeing this a lot yet, but you're going to be seeing more and more. When you get your barcode, your QR code from an airline, that's using RCS, Rich Communication Services. And then there's also text to landline. And for millennials, it's kind of hard to even fathom that there's phone numbers out there that don't get text messages. But if you're an auto dealer and you've been using that same phone number for 4 or 5 decades, that's not something you want to use. And so now we have the ability to take any text, any landline, and text enable it. So consumers then will text to your landline, might be on your business card, your landline at the office, your main number at the office, and that'll come through on your computer as a text. Now, it doesn't show up on your rotary dial phone, but it comes through on your computer. I was skeptical of this, but we get probably 2 leads every week. Or 2 messages of people that have texted our main number at the office. These are leads that we would not have gotten if we didn't have a text-to-landline product. And then finally, I call it OTT, or over-the-top services. The most familiar with this is WhatsApp. OTT services are a lot more prevalent in other parts of the country, but in the United States, we really, when it comes to texting, remember you used to buy buckets of 100 messages, 300 messages. Well, now everyone buys buckets of unlimited messaging. So WhatsApp and services like that are a lot more popular in countries where you don't have the all-you-can-eat type of texting services. But messaging really works, okay? And the reason it works so well is because it's opt-in marketing. So when you think of email, you can send an email to someone, as long as you put that unsubscribe button at the bottom, you're probably cool, right? When it comes to text messaging, there's some pretty significant fines involved in text messaging, and the class action lawsuit lawyers are making a lot of money on these. So you got to be really careful if you represent a brand that's a large brand that's worthwhile for lawyers to sue you. But it is opt-in marketing. And what that means is that you have to get permission from the consumer before you're able to text them. And that may seem like a daunting task, and it's what makes people shy away. We get a lot of calls at the office from businesses saying, well, you got all the numbers I can text to, right? And it's like, well, no, it doesn't work like that. You got to get them to send a text message, as I just tricked you guys to do, by the way. So anyway, yeah, you got to get someone to send you a text message, opt them in through the reply message. Now you can send them broadcast messages in the future. And, you know, again, that's a daunting task to think, oh, I got to put all this investment into traditional advertising to get people to opt in, and then I can send them broadcast messages. But think of it this way. How many times has a consumer said to you, I want to receive your advertising? You know, and that's what they're doing when they're opting into your text message database. So that's a very valuable lead indeed. It's one-to-one communication when you're talking text messaging. You don't have that with traditional media or even some of the larger mobile and digital mediums. It's mass communication because you can reach everybody, because almost everybody texts today. And think back to the restaurant example that I gave. It's really timely. So fun fact, if I only leave you with one stat today, it's this one that I want you to remember. 90% of all text messages are opened and read within 15 minutes of receipt. 97% of all text messages are actually opened and read. So compare that to email marketing, where only 22% of your emails are opened and read. And the reason why is when you think about your text messages, because of those rules that were put in place and the stiff fines, you're not getting a lot of spam on your text. You probably get one here and there, but for the most part, you're not getting a lot of spam on text versus what you're getting on email, and that's precisely why it works so darn well. So in the book, I give you Bob's 60 top text messaging tips. And one of the things that I like to emphasize is text messaging isn't just for B2C, it's also for B2B. Okay? And one of the tips that we have found works well is when you do a B2B text message, send your message 3 minutes before the top of the hour. Why? That's when busy executives are waiting for their next meeting to start and they're looking at their phone. So that's the best time that you can reach these people. All right, we're on lesson 5, social media. Every social media network is different. A business needs to select the proper image and social media strategy for each of its networks. Acting the part is half the battle. So meaning you got to act different on Instagram than you do on Twitter. Okay? And you're going to watch a really cool video here of what Dunkin' Donuts did with the NFL. And you remember the product Vine? You know, they did some really cool stuff here that got great social media attention. So how much time are you spending on social media? Well, this is the average in the United States. It's a little scary. Okay, you're spending 40 minutes a day on YouTube and 35 minutes a day on Facebook and Instagram. Well, 50 including Instagram. You're spending a lot of time on Snapchat, not so much on Twitter. Okay, what does that mean over your lifetime? You're going to spend almost 2 years of your life looking at YouTube videos. Okay? You're going to spend 1.5 years looking at your Facebook and how other people's lives are so much more exciting than yours. So think about that, and think about it that if you volunteered for a charity for all that time instead of looking at social media, you went to the gym for all that time, you'd be The Rock. You know, so think about all the time that you're going to spend with social media in your lifetime. Over 5 years of your life you're going to spend on social media. That's more than you're going to do with anything else. It's more than you're going to spend eating and drinking, and we know we love to do that, okay? The only thing you're going to spend more time is watching TV. So when it comes to social media use, you know, there's the two gorillas in the room, okay? There's YouTube and there's Facebook. That's where we're spending most of our time. It's where most of us are utilizing social media. When it comes to teens and young adults, they're the only ones that skew a little differently. Snapchat is the favorite by far when it comes to social media. But remember back when teens were the only ones on Facebook and then their moms came? Okay, well, that's coming. Okay, moms are coming, wearing their mom jeans. Okay, and you know, when that happens and all the moms are on Snapchat, you know, the teens are going to have to find someplace else to go. Okay, so, you know, one of the things we talk about on social media is to engage key influencers. And, you know, we just read a couple of weeks ago, Kylie Jenner is going to be the youngest billionaire of all time. Well, it wouldn't take her a whole lot of posts on Instagram to get there, because she gets $1 million for every post that she puts on social media on Instagram. So there's the top 10 in terms of what people get. So you can see a lot of stars. We have, what, three Kardashian Jenners up there in the top 10. You got 3 soccer players, okay, Ronaldo and Messi and Neymar. And then you got Justin Bieber. Okay, so look, you too can be a social media key influencer. Okay, it's easy. All you have to do is sign up on Facebook. If you have 25,000 followers for your brand or your personal account, then you can go to Facebook Brand Collabs Manager and you can start to make some money. Okay, all you need is 25,000. You'll still have some catching up to get to Kylie, but 25,000 will get you your key influencer, and people will send you checks to post. Okay, so here's my favorite tips when it comes to mobile social media. Okay, a lot of people judge different engagements with social media, but I think the only ones that matter are shares and retweets. Okay, because with your brand, what a share is saying is that I believe in this brand so much that I want it to go viral and I want to tell my friends about it. How powerful is that? Okay, so shares and retweets is what you should be monitoring in terms of your social media. You should have a social media posting tool. People say to me all the time, Bob, how do you find time to post on all your social media accounts? Well, the fact is I don't. I do it Sunday night. Okay, so Sunday night I use Buffer or Hootsuite and I set up my posts for the whole week. So I have stuff going out throughout the week. So if you're serious about social media for your brand, you need to get one of those tools. I prefer Buffer. It's really easy to use. And you can set them up in advance on Sunday night for the whole week. Okay, your handle is your tattoo. And what I mean by that is it might be really cool to have a Twitter handle today that's WVU Party Girl 2018, but in a few years you might not want that. Okay, so I recommend that you use the name of your business or your personal name if at all possible. A lot of times, you know, if you have a common name, you're not going to be able to get it, of course, and they randomly assign you a number at the end of it. Don't use that dumb number at the end of it. It doesn't mean anything. Okay, put dot something after it. You know, whether it's your business that you're involved in, or whether it's what your degree's in, or maybe even your zip code if you think you're going to live there for a long time. But, you know, don't use that random number. It doesn't mean anything. You know, customize it, but use your name over everything. If you're starting a new business, there's a really cool tool called NameCheck. And yeah, I didn't misspell it. It's spelled kind of odd like that. Okay, go to namecheck.com and you can enter the keyword of your business, and then you can find out if it's available on all the social media outlets. And then the other thing I recommend is reserve all the social media outlets, okay? You may not understand Snapchat right now because you're not 17, okay? But go in and reserve it anyway, because you might not understand it now, but in the future you might want to use it, and you don't want someone else to grab it and then hold it hostage and sell it to you. Okay, we're on lesson 6, mobile advertising. There's never been an advertising medium quite like mobile that enables a brand to effectively target the right customers in the right place at the right moment. And that's really what mobile can do here. And here's a video you're going to be able to watch from Coors Light and what they did to target Hispanic young adults in the country. So when it comes to media, here's where people moved money from last year in orange and where people moved money to in purple. So you can see there that the biggest loser in orange was print advertising, thankfully. it's time. And then also, to a lesser extent, broadcast, trade shows and direct mail, where people move money from. Where do they move it to? All things social, mobile, and digital. And that's not going to stop. Here's a projection of what's going to happen between 2017 and 2020. And you can see overwhelmingly where the dollars are moving to is the mobile internet. You know, television and radio still showing a little bit of growth. And even desktop internet is going to project less over the next couple of years. And when I think of traditional advertising, people always say to me, who's your biggest competitor? And I think I'm going to mention another agency of Purplegator. Well, it's not. My biggest competitor is the radio rep. They have a big advantage over me in that they're visiting my customers all the time, and they're pitching digital as well as mobile. Now, I don't think they're as good at it as we are, and we're probably not as good at selling radio as they are. But they're in front of the customers all the time. They're taking them to ball games. They're taking them for lunch, something that I can't do. I can't send staff to Minneapolis to take a customer out for something like that. So what you're seeing now is more and more people, more and more traditional advertising that's being buoyed by digital. So you can see there that the radio projection for 2022 is that 5.7 of its $18.4 billion is going to come from digital. Now, radio websites don't get a lot of visitors, so it's certainly coming from other means or other products that they're selling digitally. Look at newspaper. More than half of the dollars that are being spent on newspaper are now going to digital. So when I say that mobile doesn't get its fair share, if you think that the time spent with media is a good indicator of where you should be allocating your dollars, you'll see that mobile's still coming up short, where most of them, with the exception of print, are kind of in line with the time spent in the ad revenue. There's still a shortfall in terms of ad revenue being spent on mobile versus daily media consumption. And I get the question a lot, too, is when's that going to come equal? Well, it's going to take a while, I think. And the reason why it's going to take a while is because we're creating so many more mobile venues where people want to advertise. There's currently over 2 million apps in the Apple App Store, and there's 3 million apps in the Android store. And a lot of these apps take advertising. So, yeah, while people are definitely spending more money on mobile, we're also increasing the amount of opportunities for you to spend that money. So when it comes to targeting people with mobile advertising, one of my lines is we target people, not places, okay? And what do we mean by that? Well, let's say that you're selling high-end kitchens, okay? And your target market is women 35 to 60 that live in the suburbs, are homeowners, and have a household income of 60,000, or let's say 75,000 plus, okay? You could reach them on traditional advertising, but with mobile, we don't really care where we find them. We don't care whether we find that woman on Facebook. We don't care whether we find her on the mobile website of Good Housekeeping. And we don't care whether we find her on ESPN's app checking sports score. If someone fits the profile of the person that we're looking for, we're going to serve them an ad programmatically, okay? Now, when it comes to mobile advertising, you can use all those tools that we went into, the geo-targeting, the geo-conquesting, and it's really the interest targeting that's most of interest, that makes it work so well. So when we target people, not places, we talked about geo-targeting, a 3-mile radius from your restaurant. You can go and do geo-fencing. I have one customer that's a frozen yogurt customer. They told us our best customers, college students, so we geo-targeted Villanova's campus, Lehigh's campus, all the places where they have stores. And the only people that saw those ads were people that were within that GPS radius of the college campus. Geo-conquesting, the ability to use device detection to serve ads to people. There's demographic targeting. We certainly have this, and traditional advertising has had this for a long time in terms of reaching people. The difference is, if you were targeting people by demos and you wanted to reach men, say 30 to 60 years old, and advertise on television, well, the natural place you might go is NFL football. But 40% of the NFL audience is female. I always cringe when I'm watching a program, and all right, I admit I love The Bachelor, okay? And when they serve me an ad for a feminine hygiene product, I'm like, okay, I'm never going to buy that. I've never bought it. I'm never going to buy it in the future. That's a wasted impression that you just reached me with. Well, that'll never happen on mobile because we know males and females. We know ages, and we don't miss on that. We might miss on some of the interests, but we don't miss when it comes to demographic targeting. And then there's interest targeting. We can find people that we know are interested in baseball. Think about that. When you go on Facebook, think about how much data you're giving them. Okay, when you signed up, you gave them a lot of data. You told them where you lived. That kind of indicates your income. You told them your age, your sex. You gave them a lot of good demographic information. But then they're tracking everything you post. They're tracking the businesses you liked. They're tracking everything you said on Facebook. And even when you're not on Facebook, you've gone to those, you've read articles, and there's the little Facebook icon up there. Well, whether you clicked on that icon or not, they know you're there because their icon's there, and your site's probably cookied, and they know that you're there, and that gives them more information for targeting. So Facebook has definitely changed. Used to be you could have a Facebook business page, and you'd be able to target people very well there. Well, it's harder to do today because you really have to pay to advertise on Facebook. Your business page is only getting 1.5% to 6% of the people that follow you that actually see your ad. And that's because we have so many friends, and we go there so often. We're visiting almost every day. And one of the things that you'll find, if you work with an agency or you're doing it yourself in terms of advertising on Facebook, you should get better every week, because the more data you get with engagement, that enables you to mix and match, so that when we put out a Facebook campaign, we're doing 3 different ads, but we can mix and match the image, the target audience, and the message, and then we find the winning formula of those. And so 3 ads is really 9 different ads when you're mixing and matching them. So Facebook is really the small business juggernaut. I love it because on mobile, the ad takes up 100% of the screen. It's usually native. It's very well targeted to you. And when I read the ads, it's usually because I'm really interested in that particular ad. So what I did was I grabbed the ads that I was served earlier this week before I sent the presentation over. And you'll see these are the 4 ads that were on my Facebook. So Elite SEM, well, that would make sense. Someone that works in the business that I work in, that Elite SEM, search engine marketing, would want to contact me. Urban Airship, which works in the app business. Those were the first 2 when I scrolled down. I live in King of Prussia, Pennsylvania, so the people there hoping they get railways sent me an ad. And then they sent me the one there on, I guess I need to get in better shape. So here's an ad that didn't really target me very well. So you can see the ad here on the left. They think I need more hair. And what do you got? I don't think that was very well targeted. So they're not always right, because I clearly don't have a need in that area. Okay, but on the right, there's some really cool things here. You see this orange arrow? When you see the orange arrow, well, no, you don't see the orange ad. When you see those 3 dots in the upper right on a sponsored ad, click on those and then go through all the questions they add. And what you'll get is this thing on the right, which tells you what Facebook knows about you. And it's really kind of fun. So here's mine in terms of news and entertainment. So you can see there that they know I like the Mountaineer Marching Band. Okay, they know I like Major League Baseball, and they think I'm a stoner and gamble too much. Okay, so where's it all going in terms of advertising? Here's a quote from my book. It's going to video, okay? And yes, I'm a big believer in short videos. I always think that people are inherently lazy, and they will always watch a video that entertains them over reading. Reading's hard. Watching video is easy, okay? So, we're designing 6 and 15-second ads for most of our customers. They run in pre-roll. pre-roll are those ads you have to watch before you get to watch the thing on YouTube you actually wanted to watch. Or the mid-rolls now are becoming more and more popular. They're great because, there someone has already engaged with the ad. They've got halfway through. Now we've interrupted them. We make them watch our ads. The engagement on mobile advertising is about 6x over what we see in terms of traditional images. The other thing that's really cool about mobile is you don't need to be a Hollywood producer anymore. You can shoot a video with your mobile phone and get away with 6 seconds on it. So, if you have a small local brand that you represent, don't be afraid. You can do that. So here's a quick video that we did for City Trends, one of my clients. And you can see these are 15 seconds. There's some hip-hop music behind it because this particular customer targets urban retailer that targets teens and young adults. Okay? So we're on lesson 7, mobile apps. A mobile app is a walking billboard in the pocket of your customer 24 hours a day. Imagine how important just your icon, that real estate, is on your mobile phone. And Abercrombie & Fitch did a fantastic job with their app. The first thing that most of us do in the morning is we check the weather, okay, to see what we're going to wear. And Abercrombie & Fitch made a great app. It's kind of sexy with these models, and you can see what kind of clothes you should wear on that particular day. So apps have been around for a while. Tetris was really the first app that you had on your mobile phone way back in 1994. Angry Birds today has been downloaded over 3 billion times. I mean, that's amazing, 3 billion. And where are we spending time on apps? Well, 92% of the time you spend today on mobile apps versus mobile websites is on in-app versus on mobile websites. So we're not using the browser as much as we used to. Think 6 years back when you wanted to go on Facebook, you might have typed in facebook.com in your browser. Well, today we all have the app and we're going in through the app, a lot more convenient. So where are we spending most of our time? Well, you can see there Facebook is the place we're spending most of our time on mobile apps. And here's the 10 most popular apps. Unfortunately, when it comes to mobile, the thing that is really common over everything is there's Google and there's Facebook and there's everybody else. Okay, Google and Facebook are 2/3 of everything. The one that's I think going to contend is Amazon because they're just getting so powerful and people are there to shop. So you have 82 apps on average on your phone today, but you don't use most of them, do you? The top 3 represent 3/4 of your usage of your time. Your top 10 spend 96%. So when you create an app, you really need to utilize push notifications, and an app needs to have what we call stickiness, something to get people to come back all the time. So there's lots of different types of apps. Overwhelmingly, the things we download the most are free apps. There's the Paymium app, which Ellen DeGeneres' game Heads Up. They'll charge you a small fee to get the app, but you soon get tired of playing the same game all the time, so you buy additional. That's called a Paymium app. Angry Birds we call freemium. It's free to download, but if you want to avoid the commercials in between each level on Angry Birds, you got to pay 99 cents, and you don't have to see the commercials anymore. And then there's premium apps. You can charge up to $999.99 on a premium app. Mostly they're business to business. My favorite is the MLB Home Run Derby. I can buy that, and of course then they lock you in because you don't get the best sluggers, so I have to pay extra to get the best guys, or I can get cleats that make me hit the ball further, or bats and that kind of thing. So lesson 8, mobile commerce. Retail businesses have multiple touch points with their customers on the path to purchase. The business that provides a true omni-channel approach to those touch points will be most likely to succeed in the age of mobile. Okay? Hellman's did a great job in this regard by using location-based technology to serve ads to people who are wandering through the grocery store not sure what to make in that particular evening. So when I was in college, the sales funnel that we learned in marketing is there on the left. Okay, it was pretty simple. You made people aware of the product, and then ultimately they took action in buying. Well, today it's a real cluster, right? I mean, there's so many different places that people can reach you, and it's really hard to gauge who's responsible for making that. And you know, John Wanamaker's problem is bigger than ever, right? He didn't know back then which half of his money was working in advertising. Now there's so many different variables. And where do you give credit? Okay, mobile never gets credit. As it should be, because the top of the funnel is usually mobile. People even search for cars at the top of the funnel on mobile. Well, when it comes time to buy, a lot of times they switch back to the desktop because, you know, entering a credit card's kind of a pain on a mobile phone, 16 digits, and you might get them wrong. So the question becomes, you know, who gets credit? So liken it to a soccer field. Is it the defenseman who stopped the other team from going the other way? Is it the midfielder who picked up the ball and booted it to the assist, to the striker? Or is it the striker who put the ball in the net? Well, the only guy who gets his name in the paper is a striker, but these other guys certainly contributed as well. So one of the things you need to do is to make sure you give credit to all those different engagements through the omni-channel process. So where's it all going? Well, it's all going to relevance raises response in the age of mobile. So things that are changing, search is definitely changing. Okay, voice search has changed the way that we're searching, and more we're searching by voice every day. The Internet of Things is certainly here and coming. You know, I can envision you're on your way home from work, you get on your mobile phone, you tell your heating system to go back on in the winter. Okay, that's the Internet of Things, where the mobile device will be able to control everything in your household. The connected car. Soon we're not going to have to drive our cars. So what an opportunity to entertain us when we're in the car. Mobile wallets. You know, it's really kind of silly that I have 12 credit cards in my wallet. You know, I could use all those, and it's a lot safer to use my mobile phone because they have to take my thumbprint. Someone steals my credit cards, they can use them. They steal my phone, they're not going to be able to use my Apple Pay because it needs my thumbprint. And then finally, there's virtual reality. And this last video that you'll watch is my favorite. It's from Bryce Harper, the Washington Nationals, and Gatorade and what they did with virtual reality. By the way, I'm not really here. This is just virtual reality. Okay. Thank you, guys.